Well, welcome back to Movie Talks, the all the movie news that you ever need on one lovely podcast that only comes out once a week. So here we are, episode 4. I am Ryman. I'm here with my co-host.
Lawson, hello everybody.
I keep calling him a horse. I don't know why. Who knows?
I love being horses.
It is what it is. But we have a fantastic show lined up for you. Unfortunately, we do have some pretty sad news. You're going to be longing for a lot longer because we still
Ugh.
can't see 3,000 years of longing. Like, I'm excited to see it. I'm longing for it.
Yeah,
Lawson's
yeah,
longing for these
yeah.
jokes to stop.
Stop. Exactly, I am.
And I've been trying to say longing as many times as possible in one sentence. And I think I've got
Mhm.
about 6 then.
You've
So
done,
I've
yeah,
done pretty
you've
well.
done it.
Be longing
Congrats.
longing for more next week.
You made
But
it.
anyway, our special code word if you come into Twitch on Tuesdays or Thursdays is longing. Just say
Longing.
I'm longing for it. So jump in, let us know in the chat.
Uh,
Lawson will be in there, and I'll have a giggle on stream. So yeah. Anyway,
yeah, so,
let's get into it after that little random segment. But I've been so excited for it. I even rewatched it again, and it is Dragon Ball Super Superhero. And
yeah.
finally, my boy Gohan finally gets his limelight. Like, I've been so excited for it. But before I go into it and start losing my mind in terms of what goes on, this is returning back into the Red Ribbon Army is coming back in,
hmm
and
hmm
they're essentially, well, the bad guys from Goku's past. Like, they were the main villains in
Yeah, Goku's
Dragon Ball.
childhood.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they're all
way
back.
back.
And they have 2 new androids to challenge him and his friends. Really, there's 3 androids, but
Mm,
like like Dragon Ball's not known for its overly complex story, and
yeah.
like the overall premise is Goku and Vegeta are off training with Beerus and Wiz, like they're off doing
hmm
whatever, and they're having a sparring match. Like, they get a little bit of
hmm
limelight, but that's not the focus. The focus is on Piccolo. I would actually almost argue that Piccolo is the main character in this movie. Like,
Yeah,
he's the
I felt
catalyst in
that too.
terms of like driving the force in terms of where this goes.
Yeah.
So the Red Ribbon
And he
Army.
gathers he gathers the troops. He brings sort of the story together. So I think even though he doesn't necessarily save the day, he's still the main character.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
always been the father figure for Gohan, and I guess he always looks out for him. But like the Red Ribbon Army coming back, they recruit this like prodigy young, well, he's a young evil prodigy who's really obsessed with superheroes, and they take him out of jail, and the Red Ribbon
Mm.
Army want to reestablish
He's
Cell.
not just a prodigy, he's Dr. Giro's grandson.
Yeah, he's a prodigy. That's a prodigy.
Yeah, but he's a prodigy, but is also like, quote unquote smart through blood. Like
Is he
his
not a prodigy?
grandfather was one of like the lead researchers on android technology. He turned himself into an android to further the advancement of technology. Like he's not just a random guy who's also a prodigy. I think that's
Uh,
important.
okay, I would say he's just a prodigy, but sure. But anyway, he's a really smart young lad who has a weird fixation on, I guess, they're knockoff Oreos. They're never like said what they are because you never see a wrapper, but
Yeah,
they're Oreos. Like, that's
felt like I wanted Oreos the whole movie. Every time I saw him eat one, I'm like, man, I really want some Oreos.
yeah. So they keep popping up. He creates 2 androids, which are essentially knockoffs of 17 and 18, but are more of an alien sort of figure with capes.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have the same attitude that obviously 17 and 18 have, but these
hmm
guys are like your superheroes, and they're sort of fed to believe that Goku and Vegeta and that are the bad guys, and that's
Yeah.
their sort of motive, which comes into it later.
And I
And
like that.
in terms of
I
their
can
arc that they
no,
have,
yeah, like I like the perspective of these things are aliens. They're here to try and take over our planet. Like from human perspective, the Saiyans are pretty goddamn terrifying. Like there's a scene where they're sitting in the car and they're like, "Do you see that? Do you see what they're doing?" Like, yeah, that'd be absolutely terrifying. Of course. So I'm on board. I like that as a driving plot.
but no one knows what the sands are besides like a number of people. Like, obviously Hercule knows, Videl knows, and like the cell games, they're never explained to be like sands. Like the
But they're
rest.
always just flying around. There's a scene in this movie where Piccolo is flying past and dodging through traffic. Like, that's a lot of people seeing you. The fact that they've gone this long without being sort of known by the public eye. Like, I know there's Dragon Wishes, and they do at one point. I think when Cell or one of them, after one of the big bosses, they use the Dragon Wishes to say, "Oh, and no one remembers what this whole time was. Their memory is from before this moment or whatever." Like, they sort of erase memory that way.
Yeah, but
But
everyone still remembers Piccolo from like Dragon Ball, like when he fought in the tournament. Like people aren't batting an eyelid at like random green aliens, and like there's no,
you reckon
yeah, there's no
it's not?
continuity. Like
Oh, okay.
Piccolo fought as Piccolo, like when he was evil Piccolo, he fought in the tournament, and
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh, no, he's evil," but they're not like,
Mm-hmm.
"Ah, it's a green monster from outer space." Like there's, that was never explored in terms of where they're going, and
Yeah.
like
Okay. So
Chi
that's a
Chi,
plot hole then, I guess.
Chi Chi's
Yeah.
father is a giant, like he's
Yeah.
ginormous, like. Those points are never really explained. Like Krillin, he flies all the time as well, and he's a policeman.
Fucking Krillin.
So
Oh my God, I hate Krillin.
like they never really explore any of that. It's kind of just left
Yeah.
to it. And like even when Gohan did his like superhero stint in after the Cell Saga, when he was like the Golden Fighter, like they were
The
like, "Oh
Great
my god,
Saiyaman.
yeah." Well, before that, he
Yeah.
was on the way to school and
Oh,
just
sure, sure,
turned Super
sure.
Saiyan, and people were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he just changed his hair. Now he's the Golden Hero."
Mm-hmm.
Like people weren't excited or whatever in terms of
Yeah.
someone can just
You're right,
change.
actually. There is a lot of times. Yeah, weird then, right?
Yeah, like
I guess just
they just
to drive this plot.
they don't care. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they consistently don't care, which makes it okay for me. As long
They're
as they're
consistently
consistent.
inconsistent.
Well, it's like in sport, like if you get a referee and they make consistently bad calls, you're okay with it. But if they're
Sure,
not
more so.
consistent, you're like, I need you to do something where at least they're consistently bad in terms of plot holes. But anyway, the
Sure.
the driving force is the Red Ribbon Army are back, and they take Pan, who is Gohan and Vidal's daughter,
Hmm.
and she gets taken away. I really liked Piccolo going undercover. Like I've actually
Yeah.
laughed a number of times. Like it was fun to see him sort of go undercover and explore
Uh-huh.
that. Where I feel like even those guys, they're like, "You look a little bit green," and he's like, "Nah, I'm feeling all right." Like
Yeah. Yeah.
they needed,
It was silly. It was fun.
yeah. There
I
was
like
like,
more of those moments.
and then that first fight scene with Piccolo and the android, I
Hmm.
quite enjoyed that in terms of like Piccolo doing his meditation, and they kept throwing
Hmm.
that plushy like joke for Piccolo. Where they're like,
Yeah, right.
I was
I
like
was
the
gonna
first,
ask, is that because I haven't watched any Super, is that referenced in Super as well? That he has this sort of no, okay. Because he
no,
had the phone cover and then he had all the little plushies and
yeah, that was
yeah.
just a just a random thing they just kept throwing at you. I'm
Okay.
assuming it was like something to do with like Pam sort of gave him one, and he was like, "I love it." So these guys are now like stitching him up.
Yeah.
That's what I
Okay.
assume. Like
Yeah, that's
again,
fair.
it's not explored, but
It's also like Bulma and that sort of poking fun at him. Or was it Bulma Videl? Sorry, poking fun at him and like him sort of getting like you with. I mean, to mention an inside joke that no one else is going to understand, you with calling me Sneens. Like,
yeah.
because I bit, it became funny. So I think, it could even just be like that. Because there are a family. Like, he's very much sort of an uncle figure for Gohan and for Pan.
Oh, massively. And she looks like a powerhouse when he's like training her. Like it seems like
Yeah.
she has a power scale well above everyone. Like the theory behind it is obviously Gohan has such a better, like I guess
Hmm.
hidden power is because he's half human, and like the S cells, like the sand cells, and are triggered by emotion. And because he's got the human side, he's more emotionally driven than Goku
Yeah.
and Vegeta. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that does make sense, and I do like the consist. I'll go into Gohan in a minute, but obviously,
I've got another inconsistency for you while you're talking about them,
oh,
but please continue.
but obviously, once things are kicking off, and then Piccolo, I hate how Piccolo has got his power to get a new form. I hate it. It's
Yeah,
so easy. Like,
so undeserved. Yeah. I mean, he deserves a new power, but it was so like, whoop.
Yeah,
when every other power up is like episodes of building and it's so exciting. But
yeah.
yeah,
And like Goku's whole thing and the whole Dragon Ball Z sort of thing is like you have to earn it, or like
yeah,
power doesn't come from a want, it comes from a need. And like
yeah.
obviously Vegeta's need is to be the greatest Saiyan and live up to his pride and make sure that he's better than like Goku. And Goku is always about protecting, and he always get the power due to the need. And like Gohan, even as a child, was like, I
Mm-hmm.
need to like help my father. Like when he bursts
Mm-hmm.
out of the capsule and headbutts like Radish and like all of that. Like it's always been about them finding that hidden power for the need that's in the
Yeah,
situation.
exactly. It felt very like, and even like Dende is like, oh, I can just upgrade the dragon, and he just pours some liquid. I mean, I know there's obviously something there, and he's like, Namekian and blah blah blah, but he just pours some liquid over some little shrine thing, and yep, now he's upgraded just like that. Like it was like plugging in a new computer part. It was just, it felt really silly. Um, and I'll lean to that silliness a bit more and mention the next thing, which I'm not totally against because Bulma, it's who they've built her to be. But I, I love the idea of, and also hate it that Bulma is just using um, wishes from the almighty Shenron to just do cosmetic upgrades like longer eyelashes and bigger bum, and that was really
But
funny and a really Bulma moment.
and it wasn't even massive changes, it was like
Yeah.
millimeter millimeters.
Because by that point, and I'm assuming this is the joke they're getting at, by this point, she's already made all the massive changes. Because they did sort of like sexualize her in her first few shots of her like underneath the sink and stuff. Like that's an opening to a porno right there. I couldn't, there was so many moments that was like, they're just sort of rubbing in how much, well, pun intended, I guess, how uh sexy, quote unquote, Bulma is, But
They've done that since Dragon Ball though.
oh yeah, I'm not saying it's a
Like
bad thing, but
again, they're
again,
consistent.
they're playing into the character, yeah.
Yeah.
But, and I'll go straight on to the inconsistency. I thought Pan could already fly.
Nope.
No,
She
I
just
swear to
can.
God.
No, she can run really quick. Like forget everything you know about GT because that's not anything in terms of like
Oh, is GT
Pan.
not canon?
No, GT is not canon whatsoever. So everything that's happening that is scrapped. So like
Uh,
Super Saiyan 4, all of that is not part of the Dragon Ball Z current universe. Like
maybe
the
that's why I
only
got myself
input that
confused.
whatever his name is, the creator actually had was the Super Saiyan 4 design, and that was it. So
Okay.
yeah, so all of that's scrapped, and now this is the continuation of where obviously
Okay.
Super
Supposedly
went.
she flew in Super though. I didn't watch Super, but supposedly she flies in Super as a baby.
Oh well, okay.
Pan the infant that flies, 2021.
Was that a filler or was that a?
I don't know. Sorry. This is sort of, but literally all I've got. Episode 43 of Dragon Ball. I don't know.
I
It's
mean,
uh
as an infant, you may not have control
it's
over it.
like an emotional, yeah, I think that's it. Like it seems like an emotional thing. She went like full crazy baby mode. Maybe it was just sort of her, like you said, controlling it for the first time. Don't know. I was confused. I had a memory, I thought, of her being able to fly, and watching that, I was like, why is that a big exciting moment? But okay,
Yeah,
I am probably mistaken. Or
she can run really quick. That's about it.
hmm. I
So
wanted
yeah,
her to, when at the end when they had the fight, right at the end, I wanted her to start kicking ass, start wrecking guards and stuff.
I
She had
mean
a couple moments,
she's
but
not very old.
yeah, but she's very powerful,
Yeah, but
more powerful than a
obviously
human.
when she gets taken and Gohan learns of it,
Mm.
and I hate how
Mm.
they nerf Gohan so hard in terms of he's always focused on study. But
Yeah,
as soon as he's like, all right, when he kicks into gear, that's the Gohan that I want. And I'm hoping
yeah.
now that's where they can keep Gohan in terms of he needs to be ready to go at any moment, essentially.
Hmm.
So like when he flies in, Piccolo gives him the new outfit. Like I love the
Yeah,
new outfit, the purple. It's the throwback to obviously the Cell, and we do get a
yep,
lot
yep,
of Cell references here. But when
yeah.
he's like challenging, obviously, the first, I guess, android, and he goes in the base form where he's
Gamma.
obviously hasn't established like the ultimate form, and then he actually uses Super Saiyan because at the end of Z, he was like, "This is my ultimate form. I'm Ultimate Gohan," where he
Yeah.
was the strongest ever. And
Yeah.
then he's still in that base form, but then he's actually using Super Saiyan in this form as well.
Saiyan.
Saiyan.
Still say it so weird.
I don't.
Sorry,
That's how it's
I've
said.
been snickering every time, and I'm gonna listen back to the audio. I'm gonna be me snickering with no reason. Sorry, just like saying weird.
Saiyan. Whatever.
Please
It's just
continue.
that's what it is. But him transforming is is awesome, and I really
So
like it.
good.
His new form is incredible,
What's
and
it
I
called?
it's called Beast. So it's like the
Beast.
Beast. It's like he's always been on the mission to unleash a new form that's never been reached. And it
Okay.
actually it plays in if you look at all of his like progressions throughout, he's always had this inner like rage or this inner beast they've always sort of called it when he goes
Okay.
like and loses it.
Yeah. Well, like think the Cell Saga, how he defeats Cell is tapping into that rage.
Yeah, and like every moment that he's had where he can hold his own against Raditz and
Hmm.
like headbutts him, where he holds his own against Freezer, like where
Yeah. Yeah.
he's got the Dragon Balls
If he
and he
wasn't
just
cocky, he would
unleashes
have
it.
beat Super Boo as well. If he wasn't
Oh yeah,
capable,
he probably would have
that
beat
pissed me off
almost
still. But
everyone.
yeah, whatever.
I mean that is annoying, but
Mm.
like I did really like how he unleashed it. I would have liked a more prolonged like release in terms of where it was. But it was just kind of like Piccolo's
Boop.
used his new orange form, which
Yeah,
when I first saw the pictures for that orange form, I was like, this looks terrible. But it didn't actually look that bad considering
I agree.
on screen.
I
Like,
agree. Yeah, I didn't see any promotional stuff at all. First I'd even seen of Orange Piccolo was watching the movie. Um, and I'm like, oh, this isn't too bad. But then afterwards, and even now, looking for this wallpaper behind me, I saw a bunch of stuff. I'm like, didn't look that shit. But yeah, even from your perspective, with the exposure flipped, good to know. Okay.
yeah, so I actually quite liked it on screen. I was going into it going, this is going to look pretty average, but it looked good.
Yeah,
In terms of when I hate Cell Max. Cell Max sucks in terms
dumb.
of it's too much nostalgia. Like they've
Yeah.
gone, this is just a mindless beast. He's a massive, and they struggle to show the actual size difference. Like on
Oh,
screen,
yeah.
I struggled to be able to go. There was only like probably one or two shots where they actually showed Cell Max and also Piccolo at the same time being
Yeah,
massive,
like
and
and
then one
Krillin
was
being underneath his foot. Like Krillin's little, but that was the first time I was like, oh my god, he's that big. Was that their plan? Like, was their end goal to have? Because the whole thing was that it was hatched before it was ready, sort of thing. Was their end goal to have a 100-story tall cell? Like,
it
or was
was
this a mistake?
it was a mistake because it was early, so he'd never actually got to finish obviously Cell Max. Like he was still working on
Then
it,
he
and
gets
that was the whole
smaller.
thing. Yeah, they were meant to like try and perfect obviously what Cell was, but
It's
because
dumb.
yeah,
Could
it
be
was
anything else.
yep, anything at all. And even like the androids, I was like, there's too much nostalgia. I feel like we're still like set in the same piece in terms of 17
Yeah.
and 18. Like, just pick a new baddie in terms of what we need.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been anything. And that's
Hmm.
what all the other movies have had. But like,
Hmm.
I still enjoyed it. But I did want Gohan to have more of like a prolonged like rage in terms of how he got there in terms of when Piccolo gets like, well, I guess his ass handed to him and he's being
Yeah.
held up and it's like almost the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
I like that sudden
Hmm.
switch, like that was cool, but he
Hmm.
all of a sudden just quickly transformed and that was it. Like even all the previous times he had that build up, that yelling. I wanted the yelling. That's like the iconic transformation is
Yeah,
they
it's
need a
true.
yell. Like
Yeah, they
the
need to be like powering up, and we needed to all our senses to experience that.
yeah.
But yeah, it was strange. He just was. I thought he was going to be doing something, and then Piccolo kept saying, "Not yet, not yet." But what's he doing? He's just standing there watching. But I guess, like you said, it was sort of an internal power up. But I wanted that. I wanted that. Ah! Like
Yeah.
That's what I've come to expect with Dragon Ball Z.
And that's what I wanted. But when he actually spoke, like that voice got
Mm,
me. I was like, that's incredible. I loved it.
yeah,
His hair
it
was
was real cool.
incredibly long, like weirdly long.
I
I'm
mean,
not sure if
so
that was
Super 3 though.
yeah, but Super 3 is like over the top. It's like past the point where it's kind of cheesy and it's like they lean into it and he loses
Yeah,
eyebrows and his eyebrows go into his hair in 3.
it's the whole
So
thing. Yeah,
it's like that's where the extra growth comes from. But
some big ass eyebrows.
but like this one, I did like his form, and I'm interested
Yeah,
to see how they're going to tie this in because I have been reading the manga now, so I'm almost caught up in
sure.
terms of the end of the granola. I love how they call it granola, and
It's their naming is so ridiculous.
there's Planet Cereal as well, but that's neither here nor there.
I didn't
I
know that.
I want to see how they're going to tie this new form in. So this movie is essentially making Piccolo and Gohan relevant again in terms of the powers
Yeah,
like scale, and that's what it
yeah.
was used for. And I'm sort of glad that it was there. But like Selmat sucked, and he's like got
hmm
a weak head. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean that's like the Death Star excuse as well. Or they had a flaw in it, and then when they wrote the Rogue One, they were like, oh, there's actually a built-in failsafe, and they tried to explain why there's that flaw that Luke shoots into. The same sort of thing. They're like they needed, and that's my problem with Dragon Ball movies in general. Is I always feel they try to set up a lot, and then they set it up, and then all of a sudden they need to wrap it up, and I don't feel like it builds properly because I'm used to the long builds, I guess, of the anime, and I feel like the end boss is sort of they don't get the chance to have the win and the loss and the win and the loss, the win and the loss because they need to get straight to the win. So, um, yeah,
But
and
the final move, and he's like, I've been practicing in secret with the
yeah,
homage to Piccolo, the special being
yeah,
canon.
that was
I,
cool.
I kind of don't like how there's not like a charge up for it. Like obviously every time Piccolo used it, he had to like charge it for a bit where he was
hmm
just like bang
Yeah, I
straight
guess it's
away.
like his quote unquote power. Like he's so powerful that he doesn't need to charge or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was cute. I'm glad that was it. I'm glad it wasn't just another Kamehameha or Spirit Bomb or something that we've seen 1,000 times.
I would have liked pick Gohan's like signature move, the Masako.
Masenko.
Yeah, where he shoots it. Like I would
Masenko.
like him to develop that more in terms of his own
Mm,
special move. Like
I
obviously
think it needs
Vegeta,
to be more like direct.
I guess so. Where Vegeta's got
Masenko doesn't really
obviously
have
Big Bang
Big Bang.
attack and
Yeah.
the Gatling gun, and
hmm
then Goku's got the Kamehameha
And
wave.
Spirit
So
Bomb. And
yeah,
I
which
was very disappointed with one of my favorite characters as a kid, was Gotenks. And seeing Goten and Trunks as like teenagers, I was like, "Hey, this is cool." And they're like, "Let's fuse." I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, Team Gotenks!" And then it just became the punchline, and every little joke was like a fart joke or a butt crack joke, and that was really disappointing. I really wanted to see a character that I haven't seen in years and years and years. So I didn't think it got enough appreciation in Z. And yeah, it was a punchline. It was just stupid slapstick. Made me sad.
but that was them in a nutshell though. Like
We didn't get to see like the Ghost Kamikaze and all their other little characters things they did. That was
I mean, the
a lot of
runtime would
fun.
have been massive if it went there.
I
Like
know, I
they
know,
spent ages. Do you know what we haven't even
and it wasn't a
spoken
story
of?
about them. What's that?
Even the art style. Like that was a massive thing in terms of them
Sure.
going full CGI. It felt like a game cutscene the entire way through.
Yep.
Like at the start, I was like, "Oh, this is really hard." There were,
It felt like Toy Story at the start. It felt like these little fucking animated toys flopping around the screen.
but to its credit, the fight scenes with the
Mm,
CGI were really good. Like they were really stylish. They looked sick. It was just the dialogue when they were just having like obviously some
yep.
storytelling, some interactions. I was like, this feels really weird
Yep.
to watch. It was,
It did.
I don't know.
It felt like the have you watched the Berserk movies?
Nah.
The trilogy? That was done in a similar way, but like early, so it looked worse. But it reminded me a lot of that at times.
Like I would
Yeah,
have preferred the blend that they did with Broly, the Broly movie where they had
not
the
seen it.
they had the original art style, but then they also had the fight scenes as like a blend with CGI, and that
Okay.
was awesome. Like it looks really sick. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in terms of that's where it goes. So Piccolo's I'm still dirty about Piccolo's power up. It just sucks. Like he didn't earn
Yeah,
it. He got nothing.
totally.
It's just really convenient. They're like, we need him to be relevant. How do we get
Yeah.
blessed by a Namek? I would have liked it even if Dende could bless him, but he was like, no,
Mhm.
I need to be old. I was like, Dende, just bless him or fuse with him. Do something. I don't care.
Yeah, I
Just
would prefer that. I feel like they sort of had, like they had the decision to put Shenron in it first before they had the reason
I would have been
to sort
happy
of
if
like
they
piece
just
it
kept
together.
Shenron as like that one cameo appearance and it was just Bulma doing cosmetic surgery. Like
Yeah.
I would have just been fine with that. It's like, okay, you've given me my fan service.
Hmm.
Let's move on and go into some big fights.
Yeah, because now can Shenron just do that with anyone? Can Shenron just, oh, Gohan, we want you to get even stronger than Beast now. Oh, Shenron, boop, cool. Now he's Beast level 2.
Well, not
What's the
quite.
power? What's the limit?
It's what's the power, or it's what is in the dragon's power to do. So the person still has to have like a limit to their power in terms of they have to be able to naturally acquire that power without
Okay,
going like too
true, because
far into
it was normally
it
done
does, yeah. So
naturally. Okay.
yeah, so it does get explained a little bit in terms of
Yeah.
in the manga further up, which I don't want to say anything in case people want to read it or want to wait for it. But like the dragon has a certain limited power, and if it's outside of their power, say like
Hmm.
if I don't know Goku and Vegeta are stronger than Shenron, and they go make me stronger than like Goku, then
Yeah.
the dragon's not going to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So
That makes sense.
like again, they're not overly explaining it just due to probably convenience, I'm assuming.
Absolutely right. If they don't explain too deeply, they can do what the fuck they want later. Yeah. Not
Exactly.
they wouldn't anyway, because
They
they
do
sort
what
of
they
just
want.
take liberties. But
Yeah. What would you give it?
fair. Um, I can't sort of frame reference it based on any other movies. Like I haven't seen a lot of the new Super or anything. But in terms of just an enjoyable experience, 2.5.
Oh,
Three,
ah.
maybe three. Let's go three because
Yeah.
there are moments I enjoyed, and it was cool to see. Like I loved Gohan, my favorite characters, sort of going through the entire series. I really liked his arcs. Um, and it was cool to see another level up that I haven't seen before. But in all, I wasn't super entertained, and yeah, it was a three. Three's fair.
Yeah.
Go
I
for
gave
it.
it this I gave it 3.5, but like the
Sure.
nostalgia and I just love Gohan's new form. Like it's just incredible.
Hmm.
It's just I wanted that big power up. I wanted the yelling, but he does like handle business and I just I hope they don't just nerf him again and just like leave him
Hmm.
on the bench like they do consistently because I'm not. I really wish Goku like left the limelight and then it was Gohan taking over like he was supposed to. Like I wonder where
Yeah.
the show would have went, or I wonder if it would have died because obviously people are obviously Goku fanboys and just jump on that. Like I like
Hmm.
Goku, but I
Yeah,
would
I
have
get
liked
it.
that progression.
Hmm. Totally. And go like they need to keep riding Goku out with fucking heart disease and he's trapped in another world and whatever else. Like they have to keep sort of riding him out because Goku and Vegeta can just sort of come save the day. So they've dug themselves a hole there. But yeah, you're right. I'm glad that these two characters now I haven't seen, like I said, Super, but it's good that they've brought these two into the sort of fray of S tier characters. There's now at least four of them that can sort of share the limelight.
Yeah, which I hope. Yeah, who knows? I hope they
Mm,
do.
mm-hmm.
Moving on back
Mm.
to the token world of Lord of the Rings, The Ring of Power, episode 3. I'm going to probably butcher the name, but Adar. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, Hadar. Yeah,
Yeah, whatever. He's
yeah.
now known as Adar. Tell token, like let whoever Amazon know. They'll be like, Movie Talk says it's pronounced Adar, whatever. Anyway,
I'm pretty
so
sure it is though, but let's continue.
yeah, sucked in if it is. I don't know why, but So we are finally getting into what I wanted in terms of a bit more of a bigger sort of
Hmm.
world in terms of the epic fantasy. But Aaron Deer finds himself a captive.
Hmm.
Gladriel and Halbrand explore a legendary kingdom. Oh, I'm going to
Hmm.
butcher this name.
Here we
El
go.
Elrindir, 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 Elrindir.
Whose name are you trying to say?
El and die. Is given a new assignment. Moving on. Dory faces the consequences. So,
Elendil? Do you mean the captain, like the boat captain?
yeah, I was just referred to him as the
Elendil,
boat. Ellen Deal. That's a silly name. That's a
the
silly.
one who rescued Gladriel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was a cool character, but his name's silly. I don't like him.
friend of elves. His daughter's name is Cilia. It's like Iarian or some shit.
All right. Let's
Anyway.
whatever. Anyway, let's start at the start in terms of let's follow our I guess three storylines again.
Hmm.
So we'll start with Arondir finds himself as a captive. I really like the introduction of the orcs. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
from memory we ever saw them being able to talk in terms of being able to communicate so, I guess, freely. I can't recall any memory of seeing them be able to like talk. I know they yell or they like the was it Urok,
See,
whatever it
I
was.
struggle because I played so much Battle for Middle Earth, and I get confused whether or not I'm remembering things from the movies or from the games. Um. Anyway, I'm pretty sure they
Yeah.
communicate.
I don't remember seeing it on screen in terms of them being able to communicate. Like I
Sure.
know Shadows of Mordor, they talk quite a lot, but it was only like
Hmm.
the captains that talk. Where I don't know. Let's say that this is their first appearance of talking. Where I felt like that was really cool in terms of how they were able to communicate. I really
Hmm.
liked their design in terms of how they've designed their like tunnel pass and everything's
Yeah.
got like hiding from the sun, like they're
Hmm.
wrapped up and like I guess they're kind of like vampires. The sun burns them a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. That's fair.
I really like the captives as well. They're making to do their slave labor, and
Hmm.
I do like how they show you the map. Like I like how Middle Earth and then obviously the Southern Lands. I like how they
Yep.
have really simple
Mordor now.
titles, so I know
Yep.
exactly where they are.
Hmm.
In terms of the tree, I like the elf symbolism in terms of we can't chop this tree down,
Yeah.
and
It's been here way before us. Yeah.
yeah, and they do their like elf sort of like passage in terms of you can't cut this down, but old mate's like, I'll do it. And he just
Yeah.
like climbs up, starts hacking away.
And
So
I'm assuming just to stop the violence.
yeah, he was more of a protector in terms of he wanted to
Hmm.
protect the rest of the crew and was just doing things to be able to like, I guess, protect his kin, I guess, like his
Yeah.
brethren.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how's that moment where I can't exactly remember where the conflict happened, but the orc dude was confronting his like I guess his best friend, the captive bloke that was kind of like befriended him, and he was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
giving him water, and they were
One
passing
that
the water
died.
around, and it
Yeah.
was just absolute chaos just kicked off,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the
You're waiting
introduction.
for it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's so
and
good.
they built that scene out for so long in terms of
Hmm.
building that suspense. I was like, well done. This is what I
To the
wanted.
point where you start to feel what the elves feel. You start to feel like maybe they are just being nice and rewarding bravery. Maybe they are, and then because it drags out long enough that, and all of a sudden, slink,
Yeah,
slash throat,
it
and
was
then
like,
just
nope.
mental. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I really like the use of the chains. Like normally they will
Hmm.
just go on to ignoring the chains or they'll show
Yeah.
just a chain break, but they're actually using the chains
As
in the
weapons,
combat. Like
really cool.
whoever designed it was like that is really
Yeah.
clever in terms of keeping that continuity of what we're seeing on screen. And like they're
Yeah.
flicking the chains. And even though it was cheesy, that slow-mo where he like
Hmm.
grabs the bit of the tree and he's just jumped and gone with like the pull of the chain and stabbed the orc.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
very cool. And
The
they
warg look cool.
besides there was one point where I finally saw the CGI fall down in terms
Okay.
of where that warg was up the top and he gets speared. Like if you
Oh
watch,
yeah, it looked weightless. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
if you watch that again, it wigs out to the point
Yeah, I
where
remember that.
it doesn't look right. I think it was just too much CGI happening one point for the computers to like render or something going on. Like
Whatever.
it was fine. Like it's not going to take it away from anything, but I was like,
Yeah,
I was kind of looking
you're
out
right.
for some flaws just due to how much money it was. Like I was just wondering
Exactly the
how
problem.
far
We're
they
we're
could
being
go.
overly critical. Yeah, yeah. But we
Yeah,
should. We need to be because it's a ludicrous amount of money. It needs to be amazing.
I mean, like the dread that obviously when his mate gets up top, I really
Hmm.
felt for him. Like that was so
Yeah.
daunting of him having to go through all of that, like I guess chaos and fighting to see his mate have no chance of escape, where he just gets like
Yeah.
shot down, turns around, and just that absolute look of hopelessness and dread
Hmm.
just comes over him, and he just gets pulled down. And the reveal at the end, like that cliffhanger, I was like, oh, yeah, we're actually finally going somewhere in terms of
Yeah.
where you need to go to build that epic fantasy of. Um,
Do you have any speculations of what Adan might be or is or?
I thought it was the other brother because when Gladriel's story where they go to the law library,
Hmm.
I was like, is that the two brothers? Is that where it's going? Because they showed the two brothers, and obviously they split, and one's in blue and one's in a different color, which I'm just
Yep.
assuming he is going to be the bad
Hmm.
one that split off. Because from the blurred vision, it did look like he had pointy ears, so I'm assuming he's an
Yeah.
elf of some sort.
Yeah. I'm assuming from what I've sort of heard since on like groups and stuff, people are saying elf, and there's a publicity image I keep seeing pop up, of like his silhouette, and you can sort of tell. It's also played by the guy who played the Uncle Benjen Stark, whatever he was in Game of
Oh,
Thrones.
Benji Stark.
Yeah, the uncle
Yeah,
north of the wall, whatever it was. Yeah.
Uncle Benji.
Yeah, the whatever Adan is played by him. So yeah, people were saying elf. I initially thought it'd be an Urukai like Lurtz, but I've since learnt that Urukai were made after these events. They don't even exist yet
Oh,
as a
okay.
race. They were made by Sauron supposedly. So yeah, I don't know, but from what I hear, elf.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
So,
I guess your theory makes sense.
so that was a nice little storyline. Like finally they picked up from the poison well and they've redeemed
Hmm.
him. Like I was like, all
Hmm.
right, cool. You kind of feel a bit like Spartacusy in terms of you need to
Yeah.
escape and like
Hmm.
like they've done well with that. But
Yep.
Gladriel, she's been rescued and by our
Hmm.
captain with a silly name, which I'm not going to pronounce. So I did like the city in terms of the reveal of the city. I didn't
Yeah.
like how it kept hammering on about all the different customs and like it does come into it later in terms of the queen was like the prophecy right
Hmm.
at the end. And it was like the elf has come, but
Yeah.
I didn't understand what was happening. So I was like, these guys are just pretentious wankers, really. I was like, let's move on from here. I don't care. Like she's being held as a
Hmm.
guest because they want to hold the commanders of the elves like army as a
Okay.
prisoner.
Yep.
But when they legged it to when the captain took her to the law library, I was like,
Hmm.
what is this? Is the cinematographer is he trying to just get like a
Oh,
new
with the
highlight
light.
reel? I'm like, what are
Yeah.
you doing, mate? Like, this is a highlight reel. You are trying to
Yeah.
just absolutely stock your portfolio. Like her on the
Yeah.
horse and the shots and the
Oh,
slow mo.
but that was pretty fucking beautiful. I know it's
Um,
a highlight reel, but Jesus, what a highlight.
yeah, like I'm not saying it wasn't an absolute spectacle. It
Yeah.
just there was no point to it in terms of what are you doing? It's like you're either A, you're showing off, or B, you're trying to just get your next gig once this is wrapped up. And you're
I'm
like,
okay with that. I'm
no.
okay with with stepping aside from the story for a couple minutes and show us something beautiful. Show us a character who, uh, all the time, Gladriel is this like ruthless, sort of rough tongue. She's somewhat mean to her purpose, but to see her in a moment of enjoyment, she's riding a horse again. She's out. She's exploring. I love that. I love that scene. I think that was beautiful. I was like, fucking like getting all, not teary, but getting emotional, like getting excited. It was sick.
No,
Disagree.
no. It was visually stunning, but I want to see Gladriel with her enjoyment, like absolutely stabbing someone, like her revenge plot to death.
I disagree.
That's where she
I
needs
don't
to
think you
go.
need
I don't want to
violence.
see her riding a horse going, look at me. Look how visually stunning I am. Just
But isn't that a nice
stab. No.
juxtaposition to see her like she can be this crazy, violent, vengeance-filled woman, but she can also be this almost childlike, fun character?
No, don't care. I want to see
Ah.
it go on a revenge quest.
I'm a simple man. I want me to watch her
That's
kill things.
yeah. Do your cinematic reel with Nori and the mystery man that I have
From the
no.
stranger.
I do not care for him whatsoever.
We'll finish a
Oh
Galadriel
yeah.
discussion.
See. Now we're just disagreeing about the cinematography because it's visually stunning, but has no place in terms of the story. And I bet you they do not go back into her being childlike. I bet you that was a once off, and they were like, just look how visually
Even if it
stunning you
is,
can.
it
Like,
helps show some character. I'm okay with
why didn't they
character.
do that with the other guy? They didn't show him being carefree and joyous because he got to ride
Because
a
no one
horse.
cares about him yet, and there's
Why
no
not?
juxtaposition there because he is carefree. He's talking about this city is ripe for the plucking. It's a city of splendor. Like he is enjoying himself there. Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong character. Elendil.
See,
I was getting myself confused. Yeah, they do feel very similar. Not really, but I get just basic white man to basic white man. Elendil and
oh, the offsider falls into that stereotypical call to action. I was so annoyed in terms of the
who?
guy she was rescued with. The
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now.
I thought his name was
Halbrand.
Adar. Oh, okay.
No, he's Halbrand. Adar is the what? Adar's the bad guy who we saw we didn't see, but we
Ah, that
saw
was
the
that
at the
dude.
end. That's
Oh,
Adar.
Halbrand, yeah.
Halbrand
I
is
did like
the
his reveal was kind of cool in the street
yeah.
where he was like all of a sudden just that split personality and just absolutely
Hmm.
wrecks people. Even though the fight scene was average, like it was very slow and there was probably half a second where it was like, take my arm, and then he takes the arm.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it was sort of choreographed,
I
like
liked the
obviously.
brutality of it though. Like the
Yeah.
brutality and the execution was really cool. It's just that they were probably half a second too early with
Hmm.
their sort of cuts. But
But I liked how, he's being held and whatever, and he's like, please don't do this. Like, you don't have to do this. And the way that he said it made me think, oh, he's not trying to protect himself, he's trying to protect them. And then to go, yeah, to have this sort of split, because I'm really intrigued who he is now. And
we
as
know
we
who
learn
he is,
more
don't we?
about him, well, she assumes that he's a king.
He is. He's literally what's the Rangers bloke in the Fellowship, the one who's like the main one.
Boromir?
Is it
I
Boromir?
don't know. I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the bloke that they first meet, like Frodo and that first meet in the town, and he becomes the king,
Um,
Return of the King. He's like,
that's in like Ned Stark's character, um,
nah,
Sean Bean's character,
nah,
or Aragorn.
Aragorn. He's
Right,
virtually him
he's
in terms
virtually
of
Aragorn.
yeah, he's like the person who is king, and
Oh, sure.
he's
Okay.
he's pretty much identical in terms of the setup with that guy.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I feel like it's too simple an answer. Like this is it's heard it's 5 seasons, right? They've already signed up for 5 seasons. I just feel like there's more complexities to him than just that.
Yeah,
Because he even says a line like I'm more than that or something. Um,
yeah,
don't know.
I thought he just escaped his like he ran away from him having to be king.
Yeah,
Like he wants to be more than that, and that's why he ran away.
sure.
But
Okay.
now it's
Yep.
like you're forced, you have to return for the good
hmm
of the people, etc. And that's why
As
she
a
was.
quick side note,
Yep.
how come that no one that scroll that they read, Galadriel and Elendil, when they go and find that scroll, and that tells them about the rising of Sauron, more or less. Why was that just in some random tower?
Because that's the
That's
Tower
like,
of Law. That's where
but
all
why?
the things
Why
are.
wasn't anyone acting on that?
Because no one wants to read the law. And
That's what I'm saying. I feel
I
like this is prudent information in this realm, and it's just been tucked away in a tower.
well, yeah, because didn't the old mate say that the tower was like the only thing that survived due to someone's ruling, and you had to have certain
Yeah,
permission to get
exactly. It
in?
was almost knocked down. Shouldn't something like that be handled with the utmost importance? They're like
Yeah,
talking about the second rising of the biggest, most dangerous motherfucker that the realm has ever seen, and it's just put in this tower that nearly gets knocked down. Don't know. Seems weird. Seems almost plot convenient.
no, even to the point where she
Oh,
was like, "Look at the symbol. It's not a symbol. It's
yeah,
a location." She just turns it and
and it
it's
looked
like
exactly like it. It almost was too obvious,
surprising.
but sure.
Surely someone looked at it from that angle and was like, "Oh, that looks like a hill."
Yeah,
But no,
it
no.
was once it was pointed out, it was too obvious to be unseen, and it became almost silly in a way.
That's why I think all my theories are correct. I don't think this show is going overly complicated. I
Sure.
think they're going overly simple because people are going to go
Okay.
in depth and lose their
No.
mind about stuff.
I keep expecting more because it's 2022. We're at a point where stories need to be more than just the linear narrative. Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, the other amazing series have set a precedence of success. I feel like there
Yeah,
needs to be more than just the face value. I hope. I'm just wanting more, I guess, than what it's already presenting. I'm trying to be probably too optimistic.
I did enjoy this episode way more than the others.
Thought you would.
Um, I still
Doing it to Nori.
I hate Nori. I don't care
Oh, as
about
if
Nori whatsoever. Like I
not much
knew
happened.
I knew it was coming. We knew
Yeah.
that the man was going to get revealed.
hmm
And like I find the half feet interesting in terms of they're like the nomads, and if you're at the back of the crew or
Yeah.
the convoy, like you pretty
Get
much,
left behind.
yeah, and you have to
hmm
pull your own cart. And I really like the scene where they were listing all the people, like that was
Yeah.
cool. But
Uh-huh.
I don't care about this mystery man whatsoever. I don't care. Oh, also with Nori, she was like, "You broke the rules. You're now exiled." And then they're like, "Oh no, she's young. She can come back in." It was like
Yeah,
you just broke
that was
tradition for
super
no
convenient.
reason.
Yeah, I agree. They just flip-flopped. Like any other character, it's plot armor again. She had plot armor. She was kept in the team because she's the main character.
But why even like point it out in terms of all this back tradition?
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
why bring that up if she's just going to like be ignored in terms of the
yeah.
rule set for the rest of the crew? Like I
And they
don't
like
understand.
put her at the back sort of thing. Um, and the mum was like, "That's as you might as well have written her name in the book or whatever."
But what was the dad
But
gonna do? The
I
dad
agree.
was like originally he was like, I can't go with you or something. Originally he was
He can
like,
go. He's got a busted leg.
was that the thing, was it? Because when he
Yeah, because
was
he got injured when they were erecting some sort of tent or whatever last episode
was
while
that
Nori was
him?
sticking around with the stranger. Yeah, he got
Yeah.
injured. His leg buckled, and that's why they didn't. If Nori should have been there to help, and he wouldn't have got injured, and then Nori should have been there to whatever the sort of not blaming her, but that's what the story is sort of setting up that Nori is putting aside her responsibilities, and therefore her family is suffering, and therefore they might be left behind. But in the end, the stranger is what gets them there together,
So if they had an
and
extra half foot,
whatever,
they would have been fine.
more or less, yeah. Or if Nori was older and stronger, and yeah, because as soon as the stranger started helping, I mean, I know he's a lot bigger than they are, but as soon as he started helping, they just up and left, and it was all fine.
Yeah, he just like lifted it and legged it off. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
See,
But
I don't care about that storyline whatsoever.
I'm also like, I would have thought that if I know they're pretty far back, so maybe they're doing it in secret, but I would have thought that if the rest of the tribe or herd or whatever they call themselves, the half foot people, um, I would have thought that if they had seen the stranger helping, they'd be like, no, 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 that's not our ways. You've now proven that you can't be with us. Like you'd think that any sort of connection with him at all anymore, they'd be turfed. But
They didn't get that
I don't
far
know.
though, did they? Because he just turned up and then it like dipped to black after they were like he
Yeah, well,
helps
pretty
them.
much, pretty much. Um, but yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying is if they don't get sort of reprimanded for it, it's like, whoa, this is silly now. Like it's you've lost all credibility, you know?
Well, they have already. They've already ignored thousands of years of tradition just to let
Yeah,
Nori stay in. Like, what are
stay
they going
with
to
them.
do?
Yeah.
You already said she can stay, and
Hmm.
now they're going to integrate the mystery man, who's probably going to turn out to be Shaoran, whatever
Who?
his name's.
Sauron.
That's one.
Right.
Names are not not my forte. But we did
Yeah,
get introduced to two new characters, which are
we did.
um silly name man's son and daughter.
Hmm. Silly man's name.
But in terms of where they're going with that, I don't
Hmm.
understand where they're going to play into the bigger sort of
Yeah,
story. Like I
especially the
know
daughter.
she got accepted into some guild or something because
Yeah, she's to be a carpenter or something or other, like some sort of labor service. I don't know, apprentice, something or other.
it seemed like a big deal. So good on her.
Yeah, congrats to her, I suppose. I know, and the son as well.
I didn't
Uh,
understand what the son wanted to do. Like he wanted to defer his C test, but like for what?
yeah,
Like
there's supposedly what I gathered was they said it was like 7 years, something like that, some massive journey that they go on to become more or less like generals, like to be fully fledged navy servants, I suppose. So he's still a cadet right now, and supposedly there's this big journey, but he's gonna defer it for a year to do something else. But did he say what that else was going to be?
no, I couldn't pick up what it was. I assumed it was like a girl or someone that was like,
Mm,
but it was never really explained.
yeah.
I did like the little bit of humor where he gets off the boat and then I was like, oh, is this his wife? But it turns out his sister. But he was like, ah, my horse.
Yeah, I thought that was a romantic thing too. And then they said, "Oh, your sister's here to welcome you or something." I'm like, "Wait, who's the sister and who's the love interest here?" Yeah, it did feel a little weird, but
That,
then once the sister thing clicked, it made sense, I guess.
yeah, it was confusing, but
Hmm.
yeah, it was better in terms of they're building to a bigger epic fantasy, which I'm wanted. But again,
Yep.
we're what 3 hours in now, and not a lot has happened.
Mm.
Like I know we've got another what 7 episodes or something or other. I
Yeah, I
still
think they're doing 10, 8, I forget.
yeah, I don't know, 6, 7 episodes. So they still got what? They got a number of hours still to go, but like, where are they building to? I know we've
Hmm.
got an introduction of a bad guy and the orcs and stuff, but I still want more in terms of where it needs to go. Like your pacing isn't where it needs to be,
Hmm.
and I think we're gonna have to take a break on reviewing it on the podcast and move to something else at
Yeah,
this time.
I think we'll still watch it. I'm definitely still gonna watch it and probably still mention it here and there, but um, it's not worth reviewing weekly like we are.
No, we might hit a fortnightly recap if it gets real good.
Yeah,
But if
yeah, if
not,
it gets good again, but yeah.
yeah. Well, would you give it?
As a standalone episode, probably 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I am taking half a star off due to that cinematic, absolutely
Oh,
highlight
you're an
reel.
idiot.
I knew you'd buy that
That's
one.
no, I love that. That's so pretty.
Yeah,
That
but
was cool.
it didn't play into
I get
anything.
it. I understand your perspective. It's
Like
just wrong.
have a have a cinematic reel with like a fight scene or do something more exciting. Like you've already shown that you've got the
I'm sure they
skills to
will.
do it.
I'm sure there's gonna be
Yeah,
some
but
amazing
why does
fight
he
scenes
just show
coming
me
up.
her riding a
I
horse?
explained
I
why. I
don't
told you
care about it
why.
though. I still don't
That's the
understand why it's in
problem.
there.
There is a why. You just don't care about
Whatever. It wasn't needed. So it's a 3 out of 5. You lose a half a star for that
Fine,
cinematic
whatever.
reel.
You can be wrong. That's easy.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. Oh shit. Oh
All
boy.
right. Moving into some more like strange family dynamics.
Oh boy, isn't it ever?
House of the Dragon. I always say
Mm-hmm.
dragons. So people were giving me a bit of stick for saying dragons. I feel like it should be dragons due to them having multiple dragons. So
Multiple
it's
family. Yeah, I
plural.
get it.
So there's multiples of them. So they
But
need
they're
an
called the
S.
House of the Dragon.
And shit,
Yeah, I
yeah.
get it.
But even their like flag has number of heads on it. So they've got multiples. So they're wrong.
It's
Just
still
like
one
your
dragon.
opinion.
Ah, gosh. My
Got him.
feelings.
That's right. You're wrong. But anyway, moving on. We
hmm
are
hmm
episode 4. So, King of the Narrow Sea. So,
hmm
after conquering all but 2 of the islands, Damon declares himself king of the Stepstones and the Narrow Seas, being crowned by the sea snake.
Yeah.
So,
Doesn't declare himself. He gets declared by
yeah, being
the
crowned.
person who uses. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
technicality. But yes,
Well,
correct.
no, that's what the plot says on
He doesn't declare
IMDb.
himself
It
the.
says, read
I
it.
understand, but
That
that's
was
not
word
exactly
for
what
word.
happens.
That's
Yeah,
what
I
it
get it,
did.
but that's not what. Oh,
Well, you're wrong. That's
okay.
what it says. That's
Yep.
published. It's not even Wikipedia, mate.
Okay. Please continue.
so, so Damon is obviously being crowned by the sea snake to
hmm
be the king of Stepstones and the Narrow Sea. So he's even got himself a nice little crown. And
Made
I,
of sticks.
yeah, still a
Looks
crown.
like one of your boys like craft afternoons.
Yeah, at least that held together. But anyway, I really like the scene of him coming in and the tension that they were building. So obviously when Damon's coming in to see his brother the king, and
Uh-huh.
everyone's like, oh, he's here and wearing a
hmm
crown, and he's like takes his crown off. He has a bit of dialogue, I can't remember exactly, but gives him the
Whatever, yeah.
crown and like acknowledges his brother to be the one and true king. So
hmm
you can see in his like eyes and his whole demeanor that he's planning for something. And that little look to Otto, I was like,
hmm
I still love
Yeah.
that back and forth in terms of
Yeah.
where you guys are going.
hmm Oh, didn't it go somewhere? Yep, please. Yep.
in the, so
Uh-huh.
obviously we have Princess Rainier. She's still sort of, did we have a time skip? Because I feel like she wasn't the 15. I feel like she was slightly older in terms of because
Yeah, we
the
had
the
like a 2 year time skip at
it
one
was
point,
it
three
was
year time
another
skip.
2 year. I feel like she was about 18. I know the Queen
Last
is
episode she was 18, yeah.
was she? I thought she was still 15ish on that one, but whatever. So obviously she's
17.
yeah, she's what 18 coming into her like womanhood, I guess.
Yeah.
And things are really kicking off. Like I know they do refer back to the first episode where Damon gives Rainier the necklace, and there was
Yeah.
that weird sort of chemistry between them in terms of how they interacted with one another, and it does
hmm
come back in terms of where Damon and her are going. What I
Yeah.
don't understand is why are they talking English for us, but all of a sudden they'll switch to obviously the whatever their native
High
language is.
Valyrian.
Yeah. Like I
I
don't
like those moments. I think it's because it's like their language. It's like a little special thing that only the language that they speak. And I think
like
that's kind of nice. It's a language that the Dragon Keepers speak too. It's like a little bonding thing.
yeah, but I don't understand why we need to show it in terms of it coming across. Like, can't we just have that same dialogue with them coming, like, just still conversing? Does it have to be in that
Yeah.
language?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it's a nice little reinforcement of their connection. that every time we see them speak in that language, it's like a little. I think it is. It's like a little sort of reminder that they have history, that they are close in family and in time.
Sure. All right.
I
Cool.
don't know. To me,
I don't know. I feel like it didn't really add anything. I was like, this just feels weird. Why are you talking in this language? But
yeah. Okay.
moving on. They
Mhm.
obviously the chemistry in terms of Damon and Rhaenyra is really building. He leaves her a note in some random sack. I can't remember exactly how she gets the sack,
Mhm.
but he meets her takes her out into the city where the time skip sort of I feel like hinders this, but also helps it in terms of where they're going. So obviously Game of Thrones had that sort of rumors and plot lines that were sort of like
Mm.
simmered for a little bit and they would hint at it here and there and it felt like it really built throughout where obviously things here because of the time skip and they've got a time schedule to hit things have to all of a sudden just really ramp up really quickly. So obviously
Okay.
when they're in the they go out into the city and experience it. But when they're in the brothel and
Mhm.
the Damon's obviously seduce, I don't know his motives. Like, was it he
Yeah. It
like
felt really rapey.
yeah? So
It
like
really did.
obviously was it at well option one was he just really wanted that connection in terms of there was always that weird chemistry between them. Two,
Mhm.
was it he just wanted to come back in and really just make life a living hell for his brother and really corrupt that sort of
Yeah.
scene and just cause chaos? Or was
But
it
then,
three?
sorry.
Did he just really take it in terms of lust in that moment? Like
Mm.
I don't understand his motives in terms of where he was going, but I
Yep.
did like the message. Like the message he was giving her was like, she is queen. You need to take what you
Yes.
want.
Take what you want. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
the power dynamic was obviously in
Mhm.
Damon's favor in that scene. And then
Mhm.
after that scene, obviously we go straight into pretty much the next interaction for Rainier, where she starts to take what she wants from her night guard, who she's elevated from
Cool.
well,
Yeah.
nothing. And the power shift is with her this time. So like she's taking what she wants. So
Mhm.
I like how they were back to back and you saw her taking on that message and taking what she wants. And that
Because she
sort
got
of
blue balls.
and that
She got
yeah,
blue balls, and then she went and slept with the next guy that she saw. Um, to go back to what you're saying about the whole like brothel scene, it's so strange that Damon stopped himself and sort of held back and went to his new wife. Um, but he still, when confronted by the king, he lied and said they did fuck, but they didn't. They did, they kissed and got heated and whatever, but they didn't actually fuck, and that's why she went and lost her virginity to Sir Kristen Cole. Um, but yeah, like why would he lie? I don't understand his motive for telling the king. Actually, why do you think? Why do you think he told the king that he did sleep with her?
So obviously when news comes about, so like this is what I'm talking about in terms of the time skip where these things they would have like introduced the rumors coming through and obviously
Mm-hmm.
they would have built it where I think they miss because they have such a tight window in terms of where they need to go and they need to accelerate things. It just had to all of a sudden come to a head, but for it
Yeah.
to move forward, obviously Damon's always talked about taking a second bride due to his Valyrian right or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
You're
always
talking about
been
Aegon the Conqueror, who had like 7 wives or 8 wives, whatever he had,
yeah,
10,
so
some shit.
yeah, so that's always been a thing. Obviously, Rainier has been named heir. So obviously
Yeah.
if he's able to obviously marry Rainier, he becomes
Mm-hmm.
essentially the heir as well. Like he
And I
gets
guess by saying that he's taken her virginity, he's sort of almost claiming title, like she's
yeah,
mine now, sort of thing.
and it's kind of like, well, we keep things in terms of the bloodlines pure. Why not? It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, this has already happened. You may as well give into it. I think that was the ploy
Yeah.
in terms of, this has
Yeah, that
happened.
makes
I'm
sense.
going to force your hand in terms of you. This is what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Where obviously, old mate.
But then why not do it?
Oh,
Like, why do he actually stop himself? Just because she is a child? Well, she's not, she's 18, 19 or whatever.
I think it's kind of, he's always had that strange dynamic in terms of that, I guess, emotional confliction in terms of him wanting to put himself up and not obviously protect and look after Rainier
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I don't know. I was really confused in terms of where his motives were in that scene,
Yeah. Yeah.
where it
Very.
just, I was confused about where they needed to go. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued to see exactly where that is going to sort of go.
Yeah, and
I,
poor Sir Kristen Cole, like he didn't want that to happen. Like surely, he's noticed her before, but he was very much like, no, stop. Like, this doesn't need to happen. Once he let himself get into it, it was all good. But like he's now in a tough position. He has to he can't tell her no. She's the fucking princess. But he also has a duty, and that moment he comes in and delivers a message from the Queen, he's already noticing how differently he's being treated by Rhaenyra. Um, he's in a tough spot. I feel for the guy. That sucks.
yeah, and he's pretty much went from nothing to something, and all due to her. So
And
he's
he might go from something to dead because
yeah,
of her too.
yep. That's that's very possible as well.
Because he has no titles and no name and no whatever, he's very disposable.
Oh yeah, I feel like he's probably going to meet an unfortunate end, old
Imagine
mate.
Damon finds out. Fucking hell. That's dead dead.
Yep, Damon's a wild card too.
Yeah. So then ultimately, because of all this back talking and Damon now being back and everything, Otto has been stripped of his title, which I did not expect.
Yeah, so Otto obviously lost his title of the hand. So
Mm,
they sort of hinted at it throughout in terms of Otto manipulated so many different things in terms of escalating his daughter into obviously the king relationship. And it's a loveless marriage, and everyone in this sort of place doesn't want to go to war because either whether they win, lose, or draw, like just with so many
yeah,
dragons flying around, there's going to be so many casualties, and you're just going to
yeah,
lose
yeah.
so much. Like the collateral damage is too high to go to war. So everyone
Hmm.
is in that like political espionage in terms of, we need to make sure,
Tiptoeing and
yeah, like
yeah, yeah.
this is how we need to do warfare.
Hmm. Yeah,
Otherwise, we're just going to roll over like ashes, really. And putting obviously his daughter up there has sort of solidified his family, but there's no
hmm.
love there. Like you can see
No,
it, you can see even when they're like having their like love making scene, she's just sort of laying there, and you can see like, get this
like
over with.
disassociating. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
he
like,
like he tries to like get her attention, and she's like, yep, I'm here. Like,
yeah.
hmm.
So like that's all building, and I think the king has now realized how manipulative Otto is. Like he's
Hmm.
been fed a number of different things. He knows that his daughter is in there just due to his manipulation, and all of that's come to a head in terms of where this has gone. And it's just, I think the king has found himself in that situation where he points out to Rainier at the end in terms of, due to your position, friends are not your friends. It's just due to like your situation. You can't trust anybody.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's finally realized that Otto's not really, well, Otto is that conniving sort of
Hmm.
guy. So he's just
Hmm.
called it quits with him. And that's my theory in terms of what I've seen. And
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's. I mean, I understood that all that as well. I just didn't expect because up until this point, um, he's sort of gone back and forth between liking Otto, liking Damon, listening to Corlys. Like the king has sort of tried to keep the peace and tried to sort of keep everything afloat. For him just to turn around and be like, nope, nope, no more, bye. and just totally strip him of his title.
Yeah, but the king's very unstable. Like he's all
Yes.
over the place. So
Oh, and he is breaking from the outside in. His body is falling to pieces.
oh yeah, he's absolutely crumbling. And I think they do an awesome job in terms of showing that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm also impressed at how big the actual Iron Throne is. Like when the scene is they have the chair and then it's got all the swords coming out.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, really cool.
I didn't think it was that big. I just thought it was like just a really big shrine, I guess, in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
seat. So
Yeah, I think because there's when Damon comes in and throws the crab feeder's hammer down, he says, add it to the throne. So I think it's like it is a symbolic thing of the defeated swords. And I guess there's so many swords, it's more than just a throne, it's an entire throne room.
yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah,
I
it's
just don't think
intense.
they ever showed that in Game of Thrones in terms of how
No, it's never that level. No.
big a scale it is. So I wonder what
Hmm.
happened, or is this was just like a this
Yeah, it could just be a Targaryen versus Lannister thing. Um oh, also speaking of Lannisters, we now see the Lannister that last episode was nearly being married, or nearly being palmed off with Rhaenyra. He is now taking Corlys's spot as Master of Ships.
oh yeah.
Um which is cool because I really like when we have more sort of family names from the Throne series. So I'm wondering if he will now have a role to play, and also who's going to be the new Hand of King. Do you think?
Ooh, big call. I don't
Mm.
know. I feel like it'll be Damon. I feel like he'll manipulate his way somehow in there.
No, he's been banished,
Yeah, I don't
hasn't he?
know. No, I don't think he's been banished. They just had their brotherly quarrel, really.
Spat.
Yeah.
Maybe Corlys will be like maybe he'll come back and be like, "Oh, here you go, Corlys. You've uh you've done a good job. You can be Hand of King now."
Yeah, I don't know. The king's so unstable. Who knows what he's gonna do?
Mm. Hmm.
He might not even not name a king. He might just be next
A
episode
hand.
they'll go like without a hand and then they'll skip 10 years because apparently the time skip, I looked it up.
Yeah,
It's the time skip's meant to be between 5 and 6. So
sure.
episode 5 will
That
still
was
have the
four we just
same
watched.
the same cast. Yeah, it's 4. So
Okay.
we'll keep the same 4, I guess they're not child actors, but young actors.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into the new ones in episode
Hmm.
6.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I said last episode that I guess I'm a wee bit worried in how the change of character will change my connection with them, but I should give it some credit in that they will do a better job than I'm sort of predicting.
Yeah,
They've done a good job so far.
I was surprised in terms of why they're changing it, but it makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
But like, would they change that much from what 18 to what if they jump 10 years? I guess it depends.
Yeah, like would it have been better just to have the same actor, but with um, just make him look slightly bit older with more wrinkles and different skin blemishes and stuff? Don't know. I guess time will tell.
Who knows? I feel like
Mm.
they know what they're doing, and so far, it's pretty
Yeah,
well big, tried and tested franchise. So we'll see.
yeah. No, I've faith. But we'll see what Otto's doing now. He's gonna piss off because I mean he's still a man of titles, so I wonder what he's gonna team up with and try and get his way. And
No, I'm
Rhaenyra
sure.
is now being married off to Corlys's son. So
Yeah, we'll see
yeah,
how that all fares. What would you give it?
uh, like a 4 again. It's pretty
Yeah,
entertaining. Yeah,
yeah, I agree.
even four
Four's
and a
good.
half. Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't go 4.5.
Nah, 4.5's like near perfect, and yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's still just another episode of another show. Like it wasn't groundbreaking. You're right. Four, 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 four.
Oh, yep. Yep.
Four's good.
All right. And then next week, who knows? You might still be longing for 3,000 years of longing. We might finally get there. Who knows? But we do have Barbarian sort of on our floating list. I know nothing about it, but obviously,
Mm,
Lawson, you're very excited for it. It's on our floating list, so it may appear next week. It might not. Who knows?
that's real good.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery. Stay
But
tuned.
we do have two picks. We're still gonna watch House of Dragons. We're not gonna put Rings of Power in the rotation anymore. But I want to watch Do Revenge, which it reminds me a lot of Sex Education in the way that it's sort of styled and a lot of its comedy in that. Like it feels like that sort of bridge between adult humor and teenage. And I don't mind that stuff. It's gonna be kind of trashy and not artistic in any way, but it looks very stylish and it looks like an interesting take on high school drama.
Netflix
Um,
original.
Netflix original. So that's what I
Out.
want to watch. Might be pretty crap, but
It's
that'll
out
be
on
winners.
Friday, I believe. Friday.
Friday. Yeah.
Yep, on Netflix. It has the girl from Riverdale, the dark-haired
No
one,
idea. I've never watched
Betty.
Riverdale.
I watched Riverdale to season 3, I think, where they just went into this random like D&D setting. It was gargoyles
I
and
heard that.
something.
Yeah.
It went real bizarre in
It's
terms of,
real left field.
but like I enjoyed it up until then. Like the bloke went
Okay.
into like an underground fighting ring and was like got attacked by a bear, and it was all sorts of
Okay.
yeah. It
Yeah, I
went
know
real.
nothing about it at all.
It went real bizarre. But my pick is Margot,
Margot.
Margot. That's how
Hmm.
you say it. It's
How do you spell it?
M A R
M-A-R-G
O U X. So
M-A-R-G-O-U-X. Yeah.
yeah, it's a horror sci-fi film essentially about a college, I guess, crew, and they get stuck in a house when the AI go a bit sadistic. Kind of reminds me of 2001: Space Odyssey
Hmm.
with the with was it How goes on a killing spree.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I
Can't
guess
let you do that, Dave. Yeah, yeah.
I'm really hoping it's really bad, just because I,
Yeah,
I want to watch a really bad horror film, just
yeah.
just for fun, really. But on the off chance it's really good, you hear it here first.
I think it's a very off chance that's going to be good.
Oh yeah, it looks terrible.
So what's our plan if we can get a hold of that within the next week? Are we going to drop one of them or just do it all?
Do it all. Surprise! It's a mystery bag.
Surprise!
You might get 3,000 Years of Longing. You might get Barbarian, but you're definitely getting the other three. You'll never know. That's what we're all about.
You might
We're
get some
kind
Rings of Power and you might not. And yep.
we're
So
like
good luck
the
trying to keep up.
exactly. We're like the consistency of Dragon Ball Z. Good throwback.
No shit. But we can guarantee we will watch what we've said. We'll watch was it House of Dragon?
You've forgotten
I was,
already.
I was going to say Game of Thrones. We'll be watching House of the Dragon. We'll be watching Do Revenge, and we will be watching. What's your pick again?
You say it
What's it
because
called?
I've watched
Margot.
it.
Margot.
Margot. Yep.
Yep. At the very least, I'm excited for them. I think Margot could be so bad it's good, or it could just be really boring.
I hope so. I hope if it's like so bad it's good, it's kind of like Birdemic level. I would love
Yes,
something that bad.
yes. I don't think it's gonna be.
I
I've
don't
just
think anything's at Birdemic level. Like that is insane.
yeah. If you're listening to this and you haven't looked up, it's called Birdemic Shock and Terror. Do yourself a solid favor. It's got on YouTube. Birdemic Shock and Terror. Maybe like coat hanger scene is a great is a great intro. I once went to a viewing of that at Flinders U, and we took coat hangers to the movie. It was
Did you
fantastic.
really?
Yeah, it was like
Wow.
the meme. We watched The Room as well. Tommy Wiseau or Wiseau, whatever it is.
I reckon Birdemic's better than the room. I think the room's
It's worse. Birdemic is
yeah.
worse, therefore better.
I think the
Yeah,
room
but
is
the
room's
room is like
overhyped though. Like
but
it's
it's a Marvel.
bad.
It is, but yeah, it's so unaware of how bad it is. So is Birdemic. The guy who made Birdemic thought he was making such a groundbreaking environmentalist film. Then they made a second Birdemic, and
But
he
they got three,
totally
man.
steered in. Oh, there's three. Oh my god,
Yeah, it's a
I didn't know
trilogy.
that.
I haven't
Because the
seen two or
second one
three.
they steered into the meme, and it became self-aware and cringy, and it was nowhere near as funny. The first one, because it was trying to be something amazing, and it was absolute trash, was such a spectacle. So everyone go watch Birdemic Shock and Terror. We're not going to review it.
Nah.
There's your review already.
Yeah.
It's so good.
All right.
Yeah, this is a long episode. We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah. Well, so remember, if you're coming into the Twitch chat, let us know. Longing is the keyword. Put that in chat. That'll be
Okay,
a good
cool.
one.
Yeah.
Longing. Yep. What we do ask, you could be doing anything in the world right now, but you are listening to us. So what we ask you to do is, if you're talking about a podcast or any movie news references, just tell your friends. Just be like, hey,
Tell your friends.
I've got this great podcast. These
Be like,
guys
hey,
are
we friends? Are we friends? Oh, that's good. That's really good news. I've been told to tell my friends about this amazing podcast.
Exactly. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Amazon Music. You've got the vodcast on the Ryman TV. So if you want to watch us and just see our interactions, you can subscribe there too. But leave us
Hell
a
yeah.
rating. I don't know, hit that bell as well on Spotify. You can even like share podcasts. You can just send it out there. See if we can get on like a chart. I'd love to get
Send
even
it.
like top 100. I'd love to be just number 100 right at this point. I'm not setting us to like number one.
Just fucking send it.
Just 100.
I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna drop internet.
All right, cool.
All right.
All right. It's a frozen screen. All
I'm losing you.
right, cool. Oh,
Ah!
he's back.
So bad. Microwave. Bye.
All
Much
right,
love,
cool.
everybody. Bye.
Easy. Tell your friends.